program, we'll be going into the education sector. One of those notable sectors that have been standing out the entire western state of Nigeria, and incidentally, Ogun State as the leading state in Africa in terms of education, is what we'll be discussing this morning. Because you will know and recall vividly that poised to the notion to develop its human capital and in readiness to the attainment of political independence in October 1960, the Southwestern Regional Government introduced free primary education program in 1955. The scheme, orchestrated and anchored by late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, recorded considerable success but suffered a major setback when the military struck in January 1966. Millions of youth in the region were exposed to free and qualitative education as anchored by Chief Awolowo. In February 1976, when Ogun State, Ondo, and Oyo were created from the old western states, they were carved out of that region by General Murtala Muhammad, and yet they still continued with education where Awolowo stopped then before the military force struck. And he continued through Unity Party of Nigeria in 1979 election, and they made education one of the main priorities of the administration. Chief Awolowo did not stop there. He still continued with the stride, and every successive government have been towing that line to make sure Ogun remains the best among the community of states in the Federal Republic. What is the state of education as we speak now in our dear state, Ogun? And so that is why we have brought in the man at the center of it all, the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, Professor Abayomi Adelaja Arigbabu, born in 1962 to a retired police officer. Professor Abayomi Arigbabu holds the Bachelor of Science Education in Mathematics and his master's degree in mathematics, all from University of Lagos, and he had his PhD at the University of South Africa, where he majored in mathematics, science, and technology, MSc, with specialization in mathematics from that university in South Africa. Professor Arigbabu also attended the old Ogun State College of Education. I think it was among the fourth set of that school in early 80s. He has been in teaching for more than 30 years as we speak, and he is an external examiner to a number of universities both within and outside the shores of this country. Our revered guest this morning has reviewed several national and international journals, especially those cited in the index of ISI and Scopus. Professor Arigbabu also occupied several positions in Taye Shularin University. First, he was the Dean of Student Affairs. He moved from there to pioneer the Director of ICT of the university. He was made the Dean, College of Science and Information Technology, ICT, and later became Directorate of Academic Planning, Quality Assurance and Research. Later got promoted to become the Deputy Vice Chancellor of the university, and eventually the #1 tutor in the school, the Vice Chancellor of TASWED, before His Excellency, having studied his rich background, appointed him as the Honorable Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology in a couple of months ago. I mean, Governor Dapo Abiodun MFR. So, with all pleasure, I welcome our guest to the studios of OGBC, Prof Arigbabu. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Thank you very much.
Well, having gone through the edited version of your CV, one is poised to know that this is the right peg in the right hole in terms of administration of education in our state. First, where is education in Ogun State as we speak, Prof Arigbabu?
Yeah, thank you very much. As we all know, education in this country as a whole is not really where we want it to be. That is talking about the nation.
Okay.
And you see, but all efforts are on deck.
Okay.
And if you remember, the Academic Staff Union just came back from a long strike.
9-month-old strike.
Yes, strike. Various unions have been doing a strike. So all these are occasioned by maybe the situation that we have in our education sector that everybody seems not to be satisfied with. You spoke about the good old days, during the days of Educ and so on and so forth. And we know that before now, education in Nigeria is very respected all over the world.
Okay.
When our students finish from any institution in Nigeria, they are well sought after all over the world.
Okay.
Despite the situation we still have, we have a situation whereby our students still go all over the world and they shine. Coming back to our state, Ogun State is the education capital of Nigeria. This is where it all started, Western education, and we have always been in the driver's seat when we talk of education, in the leadership position. We are still in the leadership position because despite the situation we talk about in the country, we still, when you rate it, we are not doing badly. Though we are not where we would like to be. Once we come through, but efforts are on to ensure that we continue to be in the leadership position, not just leadership. You know, when they say that a blind man is the king in the land of, a one-eyed man is the king in the land of the blind. No, we are talking of a situation whereby we are actually comparing ourselves with other nations,
okay,
well-developed nations, comparing ourselves with what I call the best practices. Right now, the administration of Dr. Abayomi, MFR, came on board with a lot of determination. He himself being a product and a son of teachers, he has seen it all. And probably one of the first few statements he made was to declare emergency in the education sector. And he didn't only declare it by words of mouth, he also put his money where his mouth is by following up with adequate financial support. Of course, we all know that every sector is crying for support, and the situation in every sector, talk of security, talk of health, infrastructure, and so on and so forth, needs a lot of funding. But he has carried on with a lot of attention to this sector. That I would say that in the last 20 months that he came on board, so much has been done to improve what was met on ground. He ordered rehabilitation and all sorts of projects, numbering about 956 in all our schools, because of course he ordered the Ministry of Education to conduct what you call a survey and come back to give him the report of what he has a ministry to give him the report of schools, and in his words he said the worst schools in the state. In other words, we know the situation, it's not what we really want, and he said, give me the worst schools in the state, and that led to the ongoing project of about 956 going on. I'm sure you will have been seeing yellow roof buildings and so on. So we have this counterpart funding also with UBEC, and all these are going on. That's in the area of infrastructure, and of course, like I said, the situation is not where we want it to be. Furniture supply, as we speak, is going on. At the primary level and junior secondary, a lot has been done. Over 12,000 furniture supplied to schools, but the project is also ongoing. At the senior secondary, he has also approved that 25,000 tables and chairs should be produced, because we have seen the situation that when I came on board, we were going around again, and we have seen the situation that there is still need for more. You know, something that has been there for a while. Yeah. For a government that just came on board, you do this assessment and then you actually map out your strategy. So things are getting better. the way I would summarize, things are getting better because I am somebody that would like to say it the way it is. I've gone around, immediately I came on board, I went around primary and secondary schools, I went around tertiary institutions. The situation is not the way we would have loved it to be. But of course, this administration did not create it. We met it like that. But, as a progressive government and a focused administration, the maps on the table, we have what we call I will talk about the revitalization agenda. When you revitalize, you want to give life. And we are following that religiously to make sure that within the next 1 year, I'm sure that we'll be happy with what we'll be having. Something that has been the way it is in the past. How many years are we talking about since Ogun State was created? Even before Ogun State was created.
In the next 4 days, will be 45 years of age.
Yes, yes. So the situation that was met on ground, it's not really something that we are maybe happy about. But efforts have been going on. Massive rehabilitation is going on. Infrastructure development is going on. Even the issue of welfare of students and staff and students and teachers also going on. This is happening also within the framework of the entire things that the administration is doing in all other sectors.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the welfare of teachers and the students.
Yeah.
We have an unwanted visitor in the whole world now, which is the pandemic. The pandemic shut down the entire system last year for months. And as we speak now, it is skeletal in some parts of the world. So in some places, schools are not fully on ground. But here in Nigeria, we're lucky. Some people are saying maybe because of our weather. But let's look at it from this perspective, Honorable Commissioner. Students, for some time now, some will go in the morning, some will go in the afternoon because of the large population of pupils we have in most of our schools. Is it not an indication that government need to take some steps in terms of probably recruiting some teachers, expanding the structures of the buildings and the rest of them?
Yes, as I was saying, after assessing the situation, we met on ground.
Yes.
This administration has actually charged the education ministry to map out what should be done. And of course, that led to a review of what was on ground in terms of the roadmap. And it led to what we call the Ogun State Education Revitalization Agenda. Revitalization, when you revitalize something, you want to imbue that thing with life.
Yes.
You want to put in new life, new lease of life. So, and that is anchored on 6 agendas, 6 pillars of what we call the curriculum design and redesign, talk of school administration and management. The 3rd pillar is actually about revenue and funding, because of course there is need to look at how education is funded and how money could be generated to also fund the education in a creative manner. Also, we have the 4th pillar, which has to do with technology integration, technology and innovation. And then the 5th pillar is actually about infrastructural development, while the last pillar is on teacher and student welfare. That's putting everything in boxes so that we can actually address all these issues. So the curriculum, design. We have the national curriculum as approved by the federal government and NRDC. But we're talking about how you make the scheme of work more learner-centered and enhances creativity of the pupils. And also, we're thinking along the line of digitizing our lesson notes so that there will be more access to these notes, and any teacher can actually use these facilities by going online to actually use these digitized materials. And of course, school management is talking about ensuring that, right from my table as the Commissioner for Education or the governor, can say this is what is happening in this school at this location, no matter how remote that location is. So, and then this is the number of students, this is the number of teachers, this is the infrastructure situation, so that makes planning easy. even with the little resources we have, we'll be able to allocate it judiciously. You allocate to areas of need. And when you talk about the top pillar of revenue and funding, we are thinking in terms of how do we get funding that will not inconvenience parents, and because this government has a policy of free education, and that's why all levies have been cancelled in schools. So the government needs to also look at creative ways of generating funding, and that's why Ogun State has looked at this idea of having what we call the Ogun State Education Trust Fund. At the tertiary level, we already have something approved for the tertiary level, so that they have government intervention every year. But some of those institutions, they do not have access to TED fund, which is the tertiary education trust fund. So Ogun State has set up a trust fund in the state that will fund that, and we're now extending that to all the other levels, that is primary and secondary, so that apart from the normal budgetary allocation, there can be this intervention fund which will have also. So we are looking at a way by which this fund, money could actually come into this fund through philanthropies, through corporate bodies, through maybe some little maybe little percentages that come from government government contracts and so on, given to people to actually implement, so that there will be this fund that will be readily available to use for intervention, apart from what you are doing. And then talking about the technology, and that brings me to the question you asked. Technology integration is very, very important in education, and because even now that we talk about the coronavirus, it will not be all the time. It's not all the time that it will be possible for the teacher to stand in front of the children or the student to teach them. So there will be times when this has to be done remotely or virtually, if you like. So, and you remember that Ogun State probably was, if not the first state, it would be one of the first states that actually came out with novel intervention, which led to the Ogundigi class.
Yes.
The Ogundigi class, you might be thinking that why not just the normal virtual teaching and learning? We have to understand the infrastructural situation in this country when you talk about internet backbone, internet facility available to students. Not all students have these facilities at home. How many of them have phones, particularly at the primary and secondary level? And that was why there was this blend where they could, though it is virtual, but it's through the television, so that they can actually tune in and watch this. That will keep them busy during the period of pandemic, during the period of lockdown. Even right now, that is being further.
It's still ongoing.
Yes, it's ongoing. So later on, we reviewed the situation, and it came when we were to come out. We didn't just come out like that. You remember in the Bible, they said that when this thing happened, then the doves were first of all sent out to
go and inspect.
So they wanted to be careful. So, and that was what led to the staggered arrangement.
Okay.
The staggered arrangement was such that the junior school will come out for 3 hours. The senior school will also come out. So the first set will just be maybe 8 to 11, and then you have the other group that they will go home, and then the other group will come from 12 to 2 or 3 o'clock. So that one went on for some time, and normally you don't just try out ideas without reviewing. As it was going on, we were reviewing. The quality assurance department of the ministry was also going out, and we were monitoring through our ZDOs and so on to look at it, because we found that when those students are not in school, who is supervising them? The parents will already be at their places of work, and then they go back home. Parents are not there, teachers are not there. So and the devil finds work in idle hands. So we now felt that there was need for us to review that situation, and that was why at the beginning of this term we actually went full blast, but with a lot of caution, because coronavirus is still much around.
Yeah.
So, and then you need to cover the syllabus, of course. We would go with the staggered arrangement. The syllabus will also not be covered.
Okay. Honorable Commissioner, let me allow you to take some pause here, because those who are following us on all our social media platforms are eager to talk this morning, to ask questions, to seek clarifications, and probably to pass one or two comments. This program is followed live on our Facebook page on OGBC. We are currently being heard on Radio Garden. Go to Radio Garden on your Android phone, click on Abeokuta, and then go straight to OGBC. You listen to us live. And then you can send your messages to 003-437-9453. And the numbers to call this morning remain the 003-437-9453, 01503202226 are the two numbers to call this morning. Please don't spend more than a minute as we pick your call. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, sir. I'm fine.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir.
National approach to make it successful. In view of this, sir, to ensure the delivery of quality education in Nigeria as a whole, not in Ogun State alone, I wish to call for the revival of cultural and moral values among pupils in the nation's school system. There is urgent need to instill cultural values in pupils in order to improve social behavior in our society, sir. Let us look at the situation whereby secondary school students are now members of secret organizations in the society. And I want to believe this is uncalled for. So something has to be done urgently to correct this. The delivery of quality education in this country generally will remain in the rise if conscious efforts were not made to teach the basic values of respect, the basic values of decency, decorum, and honesty in the upcoming generation. We all know that our values have been eroded in this country. But the fact there remains that we need to bring back the lost glory at all costs, sir, in order to ensure the delivery of quality education in this country and to build a generation of responsible citizens in education. So, our guest, sir, please, you are the commissioner in Ogun State here in charge of education.
You have less than 10 seconds to go.
All right, try to come up with a policy, sir, to build a generation of responsible citizens in education in Ogun State.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much for the little attention.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
I want to assure you that.
Let's quickly add this one to
Okay,
the Honorable
okay.
Commissioner.
Okay.
Good morning to you. Your name, where you're calling from?
Good morning, the Honorable Commissioner for Education.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, my name is Honorable Arigbabu, calling from the People's Parliament in Abeokuta. But let me give kudos to you. I mean, you and His Excellency are doing wonderfully well.
Thank you very much.
But at the same time, I'm still somehow very concerned. I was in a sister radio station in Abeokuta. I was being asked that when they stopped the scattered groups of students who come from coming in the morning, from in the afternoon, that how properly sure are we that there won't be rowdiness in the classrooms, there won't be there will be social distancing, there will be proper monitoring of face masking because of COVID-19 of the thing. And I promised them that I was going to make some findings. I will go to some schools. I mean, I promised on that radio station from them. And I went. Yeah, it was a little bit very okay, but I want to observe that there were some classes that were still clustered, that the social distancing was not there, the face masking was not really observed. So, I mean, just do something about it with your good officer so that you don't have problem with this. Good morning, Mr. President. That is my name, sir.
Thank you very much for calling.
Yes.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Your name, where you are calling from?
Good morning. I'm Kennedy from Abeokuta.
Thanks so much for calling.
Good morning. God bless you, sir. I'm Kennedy from Abeokuta. Prof, sir,
Yes, sir.
I know, and that you know too, that education is the hub of the wheel of progress, of poverty reduction, and of rapid social transformation. But today, the coordinator there mentioned that pandemic has been unwanted visitor. Another unwanted visitor is the issue of insecurity, whereby people are being fearful of all these accidents in villages. And we have our teachers in villages. What are you doing about it? That's number one. And number two, sir, I know that some teachers have served meritoriously and they have put their own hard work, energies, and cognition together into giving opportunity for all that we are probably enjoying today. Yet, probably get their gratuity. Some are just left and then they died with their, going to able to receive their whatever. Now, I am asking you, sir, what are you going to do in terms of making sure as a commissioner now that we know that we know is onion to make sure that gratuities of all these people are paid in full, not even anyone being. Then finally, sir, I want to ask you, sir, concerning all tertiary institutions, most of them are always coming to Kimos or to beg for their salary. What are you going to do about it, sir? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Garaji. Let's add this one 0803 437 9453 0815 032 Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Wale.
Good morning.
To our commissioner, good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
My name is Big Daddy from Adelaide. There is this adage they used to say, education is legacy before. Is it then or is still existing to today? That the evening masses have been to school. Look at what happened for so long. The strike has been almost 1 year. They're supposed to do anniversary, they don't have this year. What do you think is going to be the hope of all these children? Some of them are bastard from this school. And if you go to some of all those schools, if you go to all these primary schools, the schools will be as if it's back there. What is good government doing? Please them of anything. It's just as if they're outside. Please, our government of the state, we have been seeing the yellow route that have been putting. But there is some other school that is untouchable. What is it going to do to make sure the hope of these masses be okay? Because I know the business is going to put their children in private schools.
Okay, thank you very much, Emeka Big Daddy. Thanks for your time with us this morning. Let's add this one to it to respond. The first stage. I'm jotting down. I will remind this Honorable Commissioner. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Wale. How are you?
Fine. Quickly, let's have your questions or reaction. Quickly.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir.
You have told us that development, that of infrastructure, that of funding, and so on and so on. But if you do all this, and the students you make out are not disciplined, imagine there is conflict, even in primary schools. Not to talk of secondary school, not to talk of tertiary. Teachers are no longer paid. After school, students engage themselves in fighting, even beat up teachers. What are you doing to return discipline to schools? In our own days, if you fight, or if you come late, they try to report you in my primary school, 51 to 56. They try to report your front of everybody, and you will be killed. No teachers, they are discipline any student nowadays. What are you doing to return discipline immediately into our schools? The mentality to bring up disciplined students, not vagabonds, not convicts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pa Yobody. Honorable Commissioner, let's first attend to this first set of questions. The first caller, Olatudu Ajayi, in fact, he passed most comments, commending government for what government has done, and then asking for more attention of government in the development of this sector. Honorable Ajayi asked you that he went to classes to find out the morning afternoon shift, and that he found out that social distancing was not strictly followed. Your reaction to that one, sir?
Yes, actually, what he said was about not the morning afternoon. He said it was morning afternoon before bed. When the full blast started, we said we will ensure this. Yes, what we did was to make sure that schools put in place all these things that will make everything work perfectly the way we want it. We are all human beings, and what we can do as a government is to put in place facilities, put in place policies, and also monitor. So we also expect a lot of responsibility on the part of teachers, and you see that the circular we gave out resumption, we highlighted all these issues of social distancing, the need for, wearing of face masks by teachers and students. And we told teachers that it should be by example. And I went further when I went to schools. I told ANCOPS and the option that it's not a matter of just telling them. Even during every lesson in the morning, there will be about six lessons in a day. When the mathematics teacher enters, spend about 5 minutes to talk about the current situation, the pandemic, and what we need to stay safe and then ensure healthy living. Mathematics teacher leaves, maybe the Yoruba teacher enters, you do the same thing. The English teacher enters, you do the same. Every lesson, every day.
So I do to be responsible.
Yes, that's a way of making it so that all of us will be responsible and make sure that all these protocols, as we are emphasizing it, we will live by it. As human beings, we see people that will flout regulations. That's why policemen, if everybody can just abide by what government says, there will not be need for policemen and so on. So definitely some people will violate, but what is important is for us to ensure that this violation is brought to the barest minimum. We continue to emphasize, and I say it for the umpteenth time, that schools should ensure that the protocols as given to us by NCDC and government
are followed.
Yes, so that we can have healthy environment.
Okay, Kayode asked you, he expressed fears that henchmen are now in most villages, and he's asking the safety of teachers and the students who are naturally going to be in that place. Yes. He asked about that. He asked about pensioners' welfare, that pensioners should be able to live and enjoy their pension and gratuity while alive, not when they are dead. And the third question he asked is that he's saying that all tertiary institutions do have so many tertiary institutions in Ogun State. How are they faring? Those are the three questions he asked you.
Thank you very much. On the issue of security, it's a national problem. And I think we are all aware of efforts going on at the federal and the state levels now to curb that menace. Okay. It's something of concern. It's not just about teachers, it's about everybody living in the country. There is so much fear because of this situation, and I think that is what led to the meeting some of these governors had with the president and assurances given by the president. The state government is also doing something in that direction. Of course, we are advising our teachers to also try to be vigilant and stay safe. And if there is anything that will probably threaten any maybe peaceful situation, they should just report. There is no point if you are not safe to be in an environment that is not safe. But to a very large extent, I think we still thank God that the security architecture in the state seems to be helping us. But we cannot just go home and sleep. We want to be part of statistics. We don't want the situation where people will now be saying this happened in Ogun State. So we want we are working in concert with the police through this security advisor to the government.
On pensioners and welfare, your reaction to that, sir?
Yes, when I gave the 6 pillars of the state education revitalization agenda, teachers and students' welfare was part of it. Because as a teacher myself, I believe that teachers' reward should not be in heaven. They should live here to enjoy the fruits of their labor. And don't forget that when you talk about the issue of pensions and so on and so forth, teachers are not in isolation. It's something that you are talking about civil servants generally. But just like that person said, teachers having given their best and their all to the system to develop, to bring up lawyers, engineers, and so on and so forth. If it is possible, I want it to know about they are singled out to be the first to be attended to when issues of pensions and I will not rest on our hours to make a case for this. But even while they are still in the saddle, while they are still teaching, that's why I make it part of my priority that we want to take care of their welfare, the environment where they teach, where they work, and then the something that can actually impact on their way of life and good living. And that's why we're happy about the salary, maybe little salary adjustment that we had for even generally for civil servants. And Ogun State is probably one of the few states one of the few states that have implemented the minimum wage.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you.
Let's ask us that. Emeka Daddy talked about ASU strike and the damage it has caused, but I will add that with Mr. Taiwo Ayobode, who said discipline is more or less going to extinction in our schools. Your reaction to that? You equally said that even teachers are not beating children now; they are not instilling discipline. Is there any policy that teachers should not beat children?
Yeah, you see, corporal punishment is actually not something that is encouraged. You see, it is not beating that actually makes somebody disciplined.
Okay.
Let me tell you, if you are in a school and you pass by a class, and that class is very quiet and organized, and you peeped into the classroom and you see a teacher holding a cane in front of the class, that is not discipline. But if you pass by a class and the class is quiet and well organized, and you peep into the class, there is no teacher there, only the students, then that is a disciplined class. So it's not about a teacher holding a cane in front of them as if you are actually a yes man or something. So it's about instilling this thing into the children, into their consciousness, so that even when nobody is there to actually see them or to oversee what they are doing, they still continue to remain disciplined. So it is not amount of cane or whatever that will make a child disciplined. But what a lot of the teachers are taught a lot of things in psychology, child development, and so on that helps them in the upbringing of children. You see that even at home, it's not all the time. You beat children up to the stage that you say, okay, is it not just cane? Give me, and then at times you even cane them, they won't cry again. So it's about trying to use all sorts of strategies that can actually bring out what you're talking about, and it's a collective responsibility.
Okay.
Some of these things that are happening in school are actually a product of what happens in the larger society. I won't forget the person that asked question about the tertiary institution, talking about the situation and so on and so forth. Like I said at the beginning of this program, why did ASU go on strike? It's because of this problem, and institutions are not actually in isolation. But we are making efforts. I told you about what the government has just done this year. This administration actually have a special line now of intervention in our tertiary institution. The governor, Prof Abayomi, actually approved annual intervention to tertiary institutions without TED fund support in Ogun State. So that will affect the polytechnics mainly, because we have two universities, the two are on TED fund intervention. They get it on alternate years. In the polytechnic sector, you have about 7 polytechnics, but only 2 of them will get intervention from TED fund. So the other 5, the state government has actually approved special fund for them every year. And apart from that, the government has also approved project intervention, apart from we should now go around all the institutions, irrespective of whether they are on TED fund or not. So by the time this administration will be leaving, you can count 1, 2, 3 projects that will say this is a project that this administration actually did. And I can say this one as somebody who has been in that sector for a while, that I cannot remember an administration that did anything like this. Yeah, go around our tertiary institutions, you won't find maybe a direct maybe a project by the government, maybe in the last 15 years. But this is the first time we are having an administration that is doing something about that. And whatever anybody will say, you see, it means there is focus to ensure all-round development of the education sector from primary to tertiary. So we are not just looking at one side or looking at one segment of this sector. It's an all-round.
Yeah. Okay. It's Sunday morning live on FM. We are with Honorable Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology in Ogun State, Professor Abayomi Arigbabu. He's been our guest in the last 45 minutes, answering questions and then explaining certain things the government of the day has begun doing to revitalize this sector. 0803-437-9453, 0815-032-0226 are the 2 numbers to call this morning. Hello, good morning.
Thank you very much. I am typing. Interestingly, I am calling from Educ. Let me start by appreciating the management of the radio station for sending the message of Mr. Governor to all of us and for always being sincere to Mr. Governor to make these messages clear and loud. I also appreciate Mr. Governor for keeping his electoral
promises. He was on this platform when he promised to carry us along, and that is exactly what we are doing now. Honorable Commissioner, you are welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
My question is for you to discuss rumor that is ongoing about the education issue in Ogun State. It is the rumor that in the primary schools in Ogun State, there is what is known as Education Commission. In colleges of education, you will know what is happening as a commission. But it is the rumor that there is no commission for the secondary schools in Ogun State. How true is this? And what can we do quickly to have a commission? Secondly, sir, it is also the rumor that teachers that have retired several years back are yet to collect their gratuity and retirement benefits. How true is this rumor? Lastly, sir, the issue of 65-years-old retirement issue that federal government has gone to review the teachers' issue. We're going to pay into this. Are we also going to use 65-years-old men, which is psychological, mentally, and whatever weak? Why don't we then use them as consultants, sir? Good morning. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister Chitu. Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, sir, your name and where you are calling from?
Olaki Lani is my name calling from Udo. What really bothers me is to satisfy the staff requirements in our schools, primary, secondary, and technical. More so, I feel technical education should be made paramount. During the Awolowo period, technical education was made paramount. So, when Awolowo was here left, you wouldn't do so much because there's optimized for education these days. So, I feel this staff requirement should be satisfied in the primary, secondary, and the technical school. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pa Olakilani. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Your name and where you are calling from?
My name is Abdul. I'm calling from Ashura State. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
All right. My question is this. So if we are to follow Awolowo's legacy, I want to believe the quality of teaching from our teachers should be second to none. In light of this, I want to ask the Honorable Commissioner what the Commissioner is doing as regards the training or the teaching of our teachers, teaching them the modern way of teaching compared to the traditional ways which these our teachers are using. That's number one. Number two, many people have talked about a lot of people have retired from the service and all that. So, and we learned that the gaps, the vacuum that these people created has not been filled. What is the Honorable Commissioner doing? Because we know that Ogun State is actually short of teachers. So the Empower guys that were laid off recently, what are they doing? Is that not a cheap way of is absorbing these guys into the system? Wouldn't it be cheaper for the government to do in terms of filling those gaps? Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aziz from Obekuta. 0803-437-9453. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Prof, you're welcome, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I have just two questions for you.
Your name, sir.
I beg that you use my name. My first question is, Prof, no matter how efficient a machine is, it cannot operate itself. How do we intend to achieve your aim as Commissioner for Education this state without teachers in schools? You say that schools, instead of coming to prices that only have 3 teachers, 2 teachers. What's the response of this? The second question is this. Higher institutions in the state are becoming the shadow of themselves. Despite the fact that they are managing to be rated as one of the best in the country. But their contribution to knowledge and effectiveness knowledge competition and research may be hindered as a result of inadequate financial resources. What's your plan towards this? So most of them are work and pay. Without them, they cannot pay their tuition and those things.
Okay.
I want to know your response on these 2 questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ahmed. 0803. We'll just one more call because of our time this morning. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you are calling from, sir?
I'm Oguda calling from Ado.
From Ado? Which Ado? God bless you.
Sir, I think the issue is about we lack teachers in our schools, in our primary and secondary schools, and which the governor also is aware of this from the onset, sir. And I think the award they give the governor, I mean the PTA award, which they give the governor, is the award is not nothing. I can say the award is nothing. It's just to prove to the governor that is to allow them to allow the principal to be collecting their money as teacher. There is more to this issue. We are not facing the COVID-19. Our schools. I know about the schools. There is a principal. A principal to do the work of the schools and to teach. He's there alone. Please, there is more to this issue. There is more.
Okay. Let the commissioner explain and react to your question. Okay, this line has been blinking for quite some time, Honorable Commissioner. Let's add it to it, then we'll go. Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir. Mr. Actor, and also our Honorable Commissioner. Good morning.
Good morning. Very, very quickly because of our time.
Yes, I will do that. Time has gone. This is Dominic Osho calling from Abeokuta. First and foremost, I would like to know the local government where our commissioner comes from. Secondly, I want to plead to our Honorable Commissioner to please help us do more on the employment of the teacher. Open water side as a case study. We rely on NYC core member for the service of teachers, which is not better for academic. Please try to do something to us. Thank you very much.
Osho, thank you very much. Maybe we'll start from Osho, Honorable Commissioner.
Thank you very
much. He said they rely heavily on NYC for their teachers.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate these questions, and you'll see that somewhere, maybe about 4 questions, they were just on the teachers.
Inadequate number of teachers according to them.
Yes, like I said, this administration is 20 months old now, about 20 months old. And as a responsible government, we need to actually also do things that can solve the situation we meet on ground. Of course, these are problems that have been on ground for quite a while, but we are taking strategic and progressive stride to solve this problem. The problem of teacher employment, I want to tell you that we are doing something about it. We are coming up very soon, which our government has approved, with what we call a Ogun Teach.
Okay.
The Ogun Teach program is what we call the Teaching Experience Acquisition Channel, which will help us to fill the vacancies that we have in our schools. We're going to bring out through the portal maybe prospective job seekers, particularly people who read education, because we want people who are actually professionals to be in the classes. So people who read education, BSc education, BA education, and so on, to go online and actually put in their details, and then they'll go through a set of procedure, and there will also be a bit of capacity building to ensure that we don't just throw them into the classroom. So that one
that answers Oluseyi from Adodo.
Yes,
Osho also, and Ahmed too.
Yes. That is something that
and Aziz.
Yes, we are on that. So because we are aware of the situation, because we go around, and the governor has actually approved for us to do implement the Ogun Teach program, which we are actually address that. Then the question.
Let's look at what Private Shitu said. 65 years retirement age.
Yes.
Is it a ruse or a reality?
Well, you see, education is actually on a concurrent place.
Yes.
That was both the federal and the state actually have some sort of maybe control. The federal government has actually approved this, and it's something that we as a state also actually believe in. We key into this, because all these things also happen from state to federal, even at the NUT or ASUS level. So it's something that we also embrace. the issue of retirement benefit, we have addressed it before.
Yes.
That, yes, it's.
And Olakinani talked about technical education being neglected by successive
No. This government, in fact, we have actually set up the technical education board, which we have actually sworn in members of the board. We are working with the World Bank to actually revitalize that particular area. So,
Aziz asked you about quality of teachings these days from teachers, and he's asking, is there no room for training and training of these teachers?
that is why I said that even the one we want to do now, I said we will not just throw them into the classroom. When we do that, is a special scheme which will bring in some people that they are going to be under some mentors even when they get into the school. So we have we call it the teaching experience acquisition channel, and then they will be on and they will do some training, and then they will attach it to mentors, and then over a period of 2 years, and then before we now.
Then this Empower scheme, you said, are they going to benefit from such, or are they going to be thrown away?
No, Empower is a federal government scheme.
Okay.
So it's not a state government scheme. So the Teach is our own program.
Okay.
So anybody who want to benefit from that,
to cross over to Teach.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's take a look at some of these questions from our Facebook, because I just have to take a look at them. Yeah. Abdul Kabir Jimon said, what effort is being made to ensure that there are enough teachers in Ogun State schools to improve the academic performances of the students? Ewa Oluwa Ifeoluwa said, please, what is the outcome of Ogun State superb recruitment? Caroline Mujisola Dixon asked, he says, well done, sir, the Commissioner for Education, you are doing great. What are you doing about pupils against the COVID-19 protocols? No face mask, no physical distancing. How are you protecting the pupils? Mike asked, before said, good morning, sir. What is the hope of those that exited Empower? Okay, that question I'll be asking.
Yes.
So just
the question can actually be in two categories, still about employment. And I've said that there is a special scheme, which is the Ogun Teach. The notice will come out very soon, and then people will go online, and the process will come to the capacity building and so on. Then the one about, I think somebody asked about, there's another question that it's not about teaching.
Yes, the one we have answered almost every question here, Commissioner.
So I will go back to somebody that said maybe the award given to the governor,
exactly,
like PTA, is just to allow them to collect levies. In this state, government has actually cancelled all levies.
So no levy is collected.
No levies. If anybody asks for any levy, just bring it to the attention of the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology, and we will take adequate steps. You see, this governor was given an award for his performance and for his attention to education. Like I told you, what was meant, as an administration, you inherit whatever you meet on ground. Yes. So you will still be judging this administration based on what is on ground, which is not created by this administration. You will get it on ground, but you will see, if you want to be sincere, you see that efforts are going on. Like the infrastructure development that is going on, like the 25,000 tables and chairs that will soon be given to schools. The governor has approved bursary for tertiary institutions. We are compiling the list now. The deadline for submission just ended, and we are working on that to get it paid. The governor also has approved the intervention in tertiary.
Honorable Commissioner, I've got to allow you to go now because of our time this morning. We will still have part 2 of this program. Maybe after some few months, let's see how all these programs are, unfolding. Then we now invite you to come and give us more about your scorecard so far. He's not alone in the studios. He's accompanied by so many of his directors. Mr. Martins Akisholu, Director of Secondary Education, is here in our studios. Dr. Abdul Wahid Olanloye, Director of Primary and Higher Education, is also here in our studios. Mr. Mayowa Odufua, Director of Education Support Services, is here. Mr. Oluwole Majakodomi, Director of Education for Special Needs, is equally here. And the Special Assistant to the Honorable Commissioner, Mr. Niyi Olaitan, is here with us in the studios. And I won't forget this guy from my own constituency, Ayola Obadimu, the Press Officer, and Mr. Abdulaziz Adebayo, the Education Officer of the Ministry. Thanks so much, gentlemen, for being part of the show this morning. This program is produced by Niya Motion, supported by Abiodun Ogundipe. Yemi Serekudi has been pressing the right buttons. Francis Eriosho ensured we are all on our social media networks, and Tokpe Babalola has been the announcer on duty. I want to thank all the engineers, technicians, the editors who have been on duty, and myself, Wole Otaimi, for doing a wonderful job with you this morning. Together, we'll be here in 7 days. Honorable Commissioner, Thanks for being our guest.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being
We'll
here.
see you again in 7
Thank
days.
you very much.